Hello and welcome to Hopeful Moments 1. Today, we are going to hear a story about the breaking of trust in a family relationship that was already fraught with tension, leading to serious abuse and betrayal. Today's story will take you through an unexpected situation, one that not only involves deceitful actions but also leaves the main character feeling deeply betrayed and hurt, especially when those actions come from a family member. If you find this story intriguing and filled with meaningful lessons, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to discover more valuable lessons. There's quite a backstory behind this situation, and honestly, I'm not sure which parts are truly important. However, I believe you will point it out if I ramble too much. To be honest, I just need a place to vent my anger. I'm a 38-year-old woman, and my family is really complicated in ways I can hardly describe. I grew up with the presence of 5 people who played the role of parents in my life, along with 3 different groups of siblings. From the start, life was not simple. As a child, I lived in the US with my adoptive parents, but those years were far from peaceful. A series of unpleasant events occurred that forced me to leave everything behind and return to the UK at the age of 9. The trauma from my childhood left deep scars within me. I had to deal with mental health issues and addiction from a very young age, to the point that my condition became extremely severe. Understanding the struggles I faced, my adoptive father in the US, someone I will always be deeply grateful to, set up a trust fund for me before he passed away. The purpose of this fund was to ensure that anything I needed for mental health care would be fully covered, so I wouldn't have to worry about finances when it came to recovering and rebuilding my life as I grew older. Over the past 30 years, this fund has become my lifeline. Thanks to it, I had a home as a teenager, access to therapy, addiction rehab programs, and survived moments that seemed impossible to get through. In other words, this fund was not just about money, it was a tool that helped me reconstruct my life, piece by piece. It truly is an irreplaceable gift, a legacy from a father figure I always held in high regard. In my teenage years, I decided to reconnect with my biological parents after many years of separation. It was a difficult and emotionally mixed step, as I wasn't sure if they would be ready to accept me back into their lives. When we finally reunited, I was welcomed back into the family, or at least, that's how I wanted to believe it. However, reintegration wasn't easy, for both me and the relatives who had become accustomed to life without my presence. Some of my biological siblings were uncomfortable with my return. This was completely understandable, as my appearance disrupted the balance in the family dynamics that had been established for a long time. Though no one openly stated it, I could feel the distance and reluctance in how they interacted with me. For them, I wasn't just a sibling returning, I was a symbol of the family's complicated past, something they might have wanted to avoid addressing. Among the ones most uncomfortable with my presence, my younger sister, now in her early 30s, stood out. From the start, we never got along. She seemed to carry an unspoken resentment, as if my return had taken something away from her life. I'm not sure if this was related to her feeling that her position in the family was threatened, or simply difficulty in adjusting to such a major change. Our relationship grew increasingly strained over time. The few attempts at reconciliation from both sides quickly hit dead ends. The underlying tension between us ultimately led to an unavoidable decision: we cut off contact, and see. Almost a decade has passed since then, and although I don't regret this choice, the sadness and helplessness still haunt me whenever I think about it. This situation became clearer than ever in recent weeks when I discovered that my sister had schemed to defraud my trust fund. Instead of approaching me openly and honestly, she chose a manipulative and unacceptable route, posing as a representative from a rehab center in the US. Not only did she fabricate a completely false story, but she also sent the lawyers managing the trust a bill detailing 3 months of treatment, requesting payment to be sent to a bank account of one of her friends in the US, a clear attempt to conceal her true intentions. I only discovered this when I received a call from the lawyers, who had been working with me for years and were always cautious about any decisions related to the fund. Their voices were full of sympathy and concern as they shared that they were sorry to hear that I was about to check into a rehab center. They even wished me luck and took the time to double-check details about the treatment program that I knew nothing about. That moment hit me like a blow to the mind, not only because of my sister's audacity but also because of how she took advantage of my trust and the circumstances. She knew that this fund had helped me through the toughest periods of my life, that it was created to protect and support me, not to serve anyone else's personal ambitions. The fact that she used it to deceive me made me feel profoundly betrayed. I can't express how furious I am right now. It's not just ordinary anger, it's a deep feeling, as if every cell in my body is screaming in outrage at the betrayal and injustice I've just endured. This anger is not a momentary outburst, but an overwhelming wave rising violently, strongly, and uncontrollably. I'm furious that she thought her actions were justified, that she felt entitled to anything that belongs to me. I'm angry because she never once considered the struggles, pain, and hardship I endured to achieve even a little bit of stability in life through this trust fund. Instead, she only saw that money as an opportunity to exploit, without caring about the consequences. I am angry because she chose the path of deceit instead of honesty. If she needed help, she could have asked me, though I'm not sure I would have agreed. But at least, that would have preserved a bit of respect between us. Instead, she chose a sneaky and deceitful way, not only taking advantage of my trust but also of those who have worked hard to protect me. I am angry because her actions not only hurt me but also shattered the fragile trust between us, a trust that I know will never be restored. This is not just selfishness, but a serious betrayal, a blow to my self-esteem and worth. This anger is hard to contain. It's not only directed at her but also reflects my disappointment with myself for once thinking that no matter what happened, family would always be a place I could turn to. Now, I'm not sure I can look at her, or even think about her, without feeling bitterness and outrage. She audaciously tried to steal tens of thousands of pounds from me, money that she has no right to, nor any connection to. This trust fund was created to help me get through life's difficulties, not to fund other people's selfish ambitions. What's even more outrageous is that she has never met my foster parents, the ones who left this fund as a legacy for me. She has no relationship with them, nor any reason to think she has a right to any of it. In fact, she's lived a life that many would call ideal. She grew up with both her parents by her side, along with her biological siblings. She didn't face the psychological trauma or instability I endured. Fun family vacations, paid college tuition, and a life without major setbacks, that's what she had. Meanwhile, I struggled to overcome deep wounds, mental health issues, and an ongoing battle with addiction. Yet, she thinks she has the right to take what doesn't belong to her just because she wants to buy a house. She believes I should help her, not because I owe her, but because she thinks I ruined her childhood. An utterly baseless and unreasonable accusation. But what disappoints me the most is the way she approached this. Instead of being honest or simply asking for help, she chose the cowardly and dishonest way, trying to steal money from me. Her actions are not only selfish but a deep betrayal at the most profound level. They show that she not only disrespects me but is willing to exploit everything I have, regardless of the struggles I went through to maintain this trust fund. I can't help but feel furious at her boldness and indifference when acting this way. I'm truly at a loss, not knowing what to do about this. Every option seems to lead to consequences I don't want to face. If I report her to the police, it will definitely cause a wave of trouble within the family, something I've been trying to avoid for years. My family is already complicated, and I don't want to be the cause of further strain in our relationships. But at the same time, I can't just remain silent and ignore her actions. A part of me feels like she actually wants this to happen, that she's deliberately creating a crisis to put me in a difficult position. She knows very well that our parents will side with her, no matter what she's done. Perhaps she believes this support will solidify her sense of power and control in our relationship. And that only confuses me more. I don't want to give her the satisfaction of that, but how can I ignore this outrage? Her actions aren't just selfish, they're a low and ruthless blow. Instead of trying to find an honest solution, she chose to exploit and sabotage, putting me in a situation with no clear way out. She's not only trying to take what doesn't belong to her but is also exploiting my difficult circumstances, the pain and loss I've had to overcome to find stability today. Although I know she won't get anything from the trust fund, this situation still makes me explode with anger and disappointment. It's not just about the money, it's about betrayal and a deep insult to my trust. And while I'm trying to understand why she chose to act this way, one question keeps lingering in my mind: WTF? This situation, though painful and filled with betrayal, has taught me an important lesson about trust and boundaries in relationships, even with family. Not every relationship can be based on love and sincerity, and sometimes, protecting yourself means setting clear boundaries, even if it means facing isolation or misunderstandings. It also reminds me that the value of what I have isn't just in material terms, but in the long, hard journey to achieve it. Those who haven't shared that experience often struggle to understand and appreciate what I've fought to preserve. I realize now that you can't always please everyone or avoid conflict. What matters more is maintaining self-respect, honesty, and protecting what belongs to you. While this story leaves deep wounds, it's also an opportunity for me to grow stronger and better handle similar situations in the future. Ultimately, placing peace and self-esteem above all else is the best way to overcome the challenges life, and sometimes family, presents. My advice to you is to be strong in protecting your rights, regardless of the opposition or ignorance from those around you. Remember that honesty and fairness are never wrong, and you have the right to protect what belongs to you, especially when it's something you've worked, sacrificed, and fought to get. Don't let guilt or concerns about family make you overlook doing the right thing. You deserve space to live peacefully without enduring exploitation from anyone, even if they're family. If she truly needs help, advise her to approach it directly and honestly rather than resorting to wrongdoing. Remember that setting boundaries and maintaining healthy relationships is key to protecting your mental and emotional well-being.